Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Thursday, July 20th, 2017, and you're tuned in to episode 292 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day is the news out of Massachusetts that both chambers of the state legislature have approved a compromise bill to legalize adult use marijuana. The State House of Representatives voted 136 to 11 in favor of the bill hammered out by the six-person compromise committee, while the state Senate approved the bill without debate. The compromise bill sets the tax rate at 20% and allows towns that voted against the measure in the fall to block marijuana businesses from opening via simple action by their locally elected officials, while towns that were in favor of legalization would need to approve any such ban by a local vote. If all goes according to plan, and that's a big stretch in Massachusetts, legal adult use sales should be spooled up by mid-2018. The compromise bill now heads to the desk of Governor Charlie Baker, who is expected to sign it into law. A new Gallup poll suggests that nearly half of all American adults have tried marijuana, with 45% saying they've consumed cannabis at least once in their life, up from 4% when they first started asking the question in 1969. This is the highest percentage that number has gotten to date. Around 12% of those polled say they currently smoke marijuana. The demographic breakdown on the question of having ever tried cannabis is not far from what you might think, with men more likely to have tried it than women, as are those between 30 and 49 and folks between 50 and 64. You can click over to Trib Live to find a link to Gallup's exact results. The poll was conducted via phone interviews with 1,021 adults and carries a margin of error of plus or minus 5% at the 95% confidence level. Tom Angel over at MassRoots has a good story up about the phenomenon of state legislators and governors commissioning studies from committees on the merits of legalizing marijuana as a way of stalling actual progress on reforming cannabis laws. Tom focuses on Rhode Island in particular, where last month state lawmakers approved a proposed bill to set up a commission to study the impacts of legalizing adult use marijuana. After a number of activist groups, including the state's chapter of the NAACP and Doctors for Cannabis Regulation, said that they would be boycotting the commission as the delaying tactic they saw it as, the remaining seats on the commission were packed with prohibitionists like our friends over at Smarter Approaches to Marijuana, known for their generally dumb approaches to marijuana. A similar situation is brewing in New Hampshire, where Governor Chris Sununu just signed into law a bill that also sets up a study commission packed with people who think marijuana should be kept illegal. As most of Tom's stories are, this is a good one to click over for the full dive in. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com and on our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz it in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed, the most comprehensive collection of daily legal marijuana industry headlines around. With each day's list of 50 or so headlines handily organized by state, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed is a must-read email for anyone who needs to stay caught up to date with all the latest breaking cannabis news. Subscribe to the MJ Today Media Newsfeed over at mjtodaymedia.com/newsfeed. That's mjtodaymedia.com/newsfeed. All right, time for the Blitz. Alex Halperin has a good story up in LA Weekly about the challenges the state of California is facing over how to handle the distribution of legal marijuana within its borders. The state is unique in that it's had a robust gray market for medical and adult use cannabis for the last 20 years or so there's a lot of overlapping and complicated entrenched interests to navigate and work out. This is a good story to click over for the full read. Yesterday in Colorado, the consulting firm VS Strategies, which is affiliated with the cannabis law firm Vicente Sederberg, held a press conference at which they released a new report showing that the state of Colorado has earned more than $500 million in tax revenue from the sale of legal marijuana. According to calculations run by the Cannabist, the state has sold more than $3.6 billion in legal marijuana in all through May 2017, the same period which VS Strategies used to make their tax revenue estimate. In full disclosure on this one, my friend Andrew Livingston, who's a regular on our weekly show Marijuana Today, is employed as a policy analyst with both Vicente Sederberg and VS Strategies. A new study published this week in the Journal of Neuroscience Nursing suggests that the stigma around marijuana use is harming patients' health by impeding their ability to have honest conversations with their doctors about medical marijuana. Patients reported fears of being labeled a pothead and having their physicians react negatively to any mention of using marijuana to treat conditions like pain. Considering the general lack of education your average doctor has when it comes to medical marijuana, it's probably not surprising to learn that the profession has a lot of work to do to get their cannabis bedside manner up to date. Another good one to open up in full. With legal adult use sales now in full swing in Uruguay, Vice News has a good piece up that further fills out the image of a country that's not super excited about having anyone visit to get high, with the two kinds of cannabis available for sale in licensed pharmacies having a THC content of just 2%, which is a far cry from the average of 16 to 20% found in legal US states. We're talking college dirtweed swag levels of THC here. At the same time, though, registered consumers can grow their own plants at home, so here's to hoping that a community of cultivators is able to grow their way around those anemic levels. With Colorado taking in as much money as they have via marijuana sales tax, it'd be easy to think that every school in the state is now flush with cannabis cash. But according to a piece written by a school superintendent republished in the Cannabist, that's not actually the case. Colorado state law sets aside the first $40 million given to education from marijuana sales tax into a pool of grant money that any school in the state can apply for. Any money above and beyond that $40 million is then put into the public school fund. The big problem with that model is that there hasn't yet been much cash left over after that first $40 million is taken out, and a lot of schools in the state haven't been able to tap into the competitive grant money. With the Colorado Department of Education estimating that they need around $18 billion to fund every capital construction project for schools in the state, this is an issue that's not likely to go anywhere anytime soon. Last year, I reported on the tragic case of U.S. Marine Travis Mason, who was killed while working as a security guard at a marijuana dispensary in Aurora, Colorado. His two killers remain at large, and the Denver Crime Stoppers are hoping to generate some leads by increasing the reward offered for information leading to their capture from $50,000 to $55,000. And finally for today, the Denver International Church of Cannabis say they were targeted by undercover Denver police officers on April 20th, who slapped church leaders with citations for publicly consuming cannabis during a private invite-only event to celebrate the marijuana high holiday in their downtown Denver church. The undercover police officers used fake names to gain entry to the event and issued the citations to church leaders Steve Burke and two other founders, who will appear in court on the matter next week. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.